Okay, so we really are here at 2 o'clock. I'm going to basically hand it over to Charles. So let's give Charles a hand. And I've got your PowerPoint set up here.
Oh, you do good.
And I don't know if anybody wants to take a quick little break, but we'll get you going here. Thank you very much, Charles.
My
I really
pleasure.
appreciate you doing what you're doing here.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. It's going to be fun. Thanks for coming out, everybody. I got a very busy month of May with speaking, and so this is going to be I usually speak all day at different places, but it seems like every event in May, I've got 2 hours, so I've had to like really trim it back, and I'm going to start my timer right now, so oh, yeah, there's the timer right there.
There you go.
Good.
Okay.
Oh, boy,
Excellent.
I'm in trouble. All right, well, thanks for coming out. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your time, and we're going to have fun today. I'm going to teach you some really cool concepts. I got to just stress that what Dan was just saying about hard work, and this is a business. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. If you think you're here because you're going to become millionaires overnight, or you're, as some gurus teach, you're one deal away from retirement, or put your feet up on the ottoman because it's just and run everything by remote control, or as one guy says, no tenants, toilets, or trash, just travel, Tahiti, and tennis. Have you heard that one before? Yeah, that guy is full of baloney. All right, it's just a business, and what I teach people is how to build a multifamily business, because the course that I teach is how to own 1,000 apartments in 5 years. And you start off by owning 20 in the first year. That's all you got to do. But the thing is, you don't get to 1,000 units by doing it in one deal. You've got to build a business to get there, okay? All right, so let's, typically I have rules for the day, but when I teach all day, one of the things I do is I don't take any breaks, and you can ask any question you want. Now, because we only have 2 hours to talk, I'm going to have to limit the questions because there's usually that one guy. You know what I'm talking about, Allie? Always that one guy. And you know who you are. Well, you're not going to get any play today because I got to talk fast. And if you're from Cincinnati, I apologize because you're not going to understand anything that goes on because we're going to be talking very fast today. So let me tell you who I am. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Kate, and we have 4 little cherubs. 3 of them I really like, and they always ask me, Dad, which one don't you like? I say, well, just give me a moment, and it changes all the time. As a matter of fact, here is, this was at this guy's high school graduation, okay? So there's the crowd there. Now, I want you all to look at the little guy next to me, okay? Now, this was actually 4 years later at his high school graduation. Look at the change in the height. I am now the shortest guy in the family. It's amazing. So, but that's this guy right here. He was graduating from high school, going to NYU. There he is, graduated from NYU, and now this guy's off to George Mason. It's really funny. George Mason is a very conservative school. Like the Koch brothers donate money to George Mason. And then this guy right next to him goes to NYU Tisch, like the most liberal college in the world. And as you see the two of them at Thanksgiving, I just have to shut it down. I said, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. I said to this guy, I was reading the Wall Street Journal, and they had an article about George Mason, and they're talking about the Koch brothers. And I called my son up. I said, hey, did you know that George Mason is a conservative school? And he goes, Dad, why do you think I go here? I'm like, oh, sorry, I didn't know. Did not know. No, but the funny thing is, this guy, I got to just tell you, my NYU guy, I told a joke one time, right when Donald Trump became president, and I was in Virginia, and I had 2 of my women students, and I know they hate Donald Trump, and I'm going to try this new joke. So I said, I love Donald Trump. Donald Trump has saved me money. And I look right up, and I see these 2 women just giving me the hairy eyeball, like, oh. And I'm like, wait. I got a phone call from my son one day, and I know why he's calling me. He's looking for money. So I decided I'm going to have a little fun with it. I said, hey, Jack, what's going on? He goes, hey, Dad, good. I'm doing all right. He goes, okay, well, thanks for calling. I'll talk to you later. No, Dad, wait. Oh, what do you need? He goes, Dad, can I have some money? I said, how much you need? He goes, $300. I said, $300, huh? I said, tell you what, I'll give you $300, but you got to repeat after me. He goes, what? I said, Donald Trump is doing a great job. He goes, I'll call Mom. Hangs up. I said, you just saved me money. And then he calls me up the other day. I announced on my Monday night call, I said, my liberal son from New York City just became a Republican this weekend. And I was like, well, why? I said, yeah, you got to hear this. He calls me up and says, hey, Dad, my driver's license is expired, and I got to get some documentations that show I live in Massachusetts. I said, but Jack, you don't live in Massachusetts. You live in New York City. And he says, I'm not paying these taxes. I'm like, oh, yeah. And he didn't even get mugged, and he became a Republican. All right. So I've acquired over $20 million of apartments all across the country. Here are some of the pictures of some of the properties that I've owned. Now, if you have an eye for apartments, you know what apartments are. You can take a look at this picture, and one thing you see is that they're all different quality assets in this picture, okay? You got A's, B's, and C's, and we'll talk about D's in a moment. But I've owned all different types, and I've lived it all. I also own my own property management company, okay? Now let me explain something to you. There are guys out there trying to teach you that this is a mailbox business, mailbox money. Nobody loves your baby more than you do. You sign your name on that mortgage, you sign your name, whether it's recourse or non-recourse, you sign your name on that mortgage, you're gonna pay it back, and you've gotta watch these properties. You can lose a multifamily property in 90 days if you take your eye off the prize. It's as simple as that. So these guys that think you can just put it up on auto and let some third-party property management company run it, they don't know what's going on. Besides that, the model, just the business model for third-party property management doesn't make any sense. And I'll explain why in a moment when I teach you the 5 ways you make money in multifamily, okay? I'm also a practicing attorney in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and only in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And, my law consulting practice, I focus only, the only thing I do is help new investors buy apartments. That's my job. I tell people I'm a lawyer. I'm not your lawyer. You're going to hire a lawyer. Okay, but in the meantime, my practice is all consulting. There's something in the law business called UPL, Unlicensed Practice of Law. I am only licensed in Massachusetts. My clients are all over the country. Therefore, I cannot represent them as their attorney outside of Massachusetts. So I am not your attorney. And even that, it can even be like me coming here as the multifamilyattorney.com. I could get in trouble with the Bar Association here in Santa Barbara if they thought I was here trying to sell legal services. So I am not anyone's attorney. I teach you how to buy apartments. I take you through the whole entire process. Help you, show you how to find them, analyze them, get them under contract, perform the due diligence, get the financing and the transition to ownership, and even show you how to set up your own property management company. So, Massachusetts Bar Association says lawyers who associate their names with a particular service, field, or area of law implying expertise and shall be held to the standards of performance of specialists in that particular service, field, or area. This is all I do. Multifamily transactional law. I help people through the whole entire process. I asked my students, I said, how can I make my program better? And they said, well, we need a form of accountability. Like you're great helping you through the transaction, but we need something that keeps us on track. Every 2 weeks we get a kick in the fanny. And I said, I don't really want to do that. I mean, that's not really what I'm looking out to do. They said, so I ended up hiring an accountability coach who actually works with all of my students to make sure that they stay on track on the action plan and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. As soon as there's any type of transaction involved, that's when they call me. My students call me. So, in all professional functions, a lawyer should be competent, prompt, and diligent. All right. Now, how did I get started? Let me tell you the short story. When I got out of college, I worked for New York Life Insurance Company. My father was with New York Life for 57 years. If you have any kid that gets out of college and wants to be an insurance agent, there's something wrong with that child. Okay, it's like a fallback position. I don't know why I did it, but I thought that I took the path of least resistance. My dad sent me out to see one of his clients. His name was John Dobens, happens to be distantly related to us. And John Dobens owned an egg farm. And when I was growing up, in like first grade, they called me Egghead. I was like, why do you call me Egghead? He said, well, because you own an egg farm. So we don't own the egg farm. Some other Dobens owns the egg. Well, it doesn't matter. Your name's Dobens. We're going to call you Egghead. So I finally got to meet John Dobens. Guy was a mountain of a man, nicest guy in the world. He just passed away a few years ago, and I went to see him at his office. And John Dobens didn't own an egg farm anymore. You see, he was a multi-millionaire real estate investor. And I went to see him at his office where he runs all his properties with his wife. And I walked in, I said, John, I want to do what you do. And he said, well, why don't you do it? I said, I'm newly married, we got a baby on the way, I got a mortgage, I'm trying to be in insurance. Every excuse in the book, and I'm sure you've all used them as well. And so what he did is he reached behind his desk and took off the shelf this book. See, the thing is, I can see the next slide, but I forget which ones you guys are looking at. So I'm like, why are they all giving me that blank look? Okay, so he handed this book to me. How I Turned $1,000 into $1 million in real estate in my spare time. This is a real book. You can find it on Amazon. He said the numbers are obviously old, but the concepts are all the same. Take this book, go home, and start doing what it says. So I took that book, and I went home, and you know what I started to do? I went and I put it on my bookshelf with my Carlton Sheets unopened box that I bought at a yard sale from someone else who didn't do what Carlton Sheets said to do. And that thing sat there for another 15 years. In the meantime, I went to law school. I left New York life. I hated the insurance business. I went to law school. When I got out of law school, I started an insurance business. Don't ask me why. I owned a benefits administration company. Worst business in the world. Now let me tell you something about that business and why it was so bad. And I said this one time when I was teaching, and I had no concept of anyone grasping this. But I said, how many people hate, the worst day of the week was Sunday nights, where you just hated Sunday nights. And I said that, I looked around, and so many people started nodding their heads. I thought it was just me. But you hate Sunday nights because it's always followed by Monday morning. And you're just going to go get your head beat in. I even saw this one thing on the internet. It said the shortest horror story title ever is Tomorrow is Monday. And boy, do I know what that was. And I did it, I just got so tired of it, and I thought, I hate what I do. I had 35 employees working for me. And I thought, if I hate what I do, can I only imagine what it's like for these guys? And it was always interesting because whenever somebody would leave the company, would take their computer back, like go, clean it up, you go look at their search history on Google or whatever it was. Back then, it was monster.com. They were all looking for jobs, trying to get out of there, because they hated being there as much as I did. So I said, something has to happen, and then havoc struck. For some of you, you know what I'm talking about. For others of you, it's on its way. I turned 40. And I thought, I can't do this for another 25 years. I just can't do it. I'll kill myself first. I don't want to have these headaches. I don't want these problems. I don't want my life living this way. And I was afraid that I was going to end up looking like this guy. I'm not looking like that guy, right? Right? All right, thank you. All right, so what I ended up doing, my wife said, let's just sell the business. Let's do what you want to do. What do you want to do? I said, I've always wanted to own apartments. Ever since I was young, I wanted to own apartments. She says, let's start doing it. So we went out there. I sold the insurance business. I burnt the ships, if you know what I mean, and we started in the real estate business. And I ended up buying A-class property, B-class property, C-class property, and if you ask me on some particular days, I own some D-class property. Not so proud, but that's what happened. We'll talk a little bit about D-class, how we rank these properties as we go on. I've done no money down deals. How many people want to do no money down deals? Yeah, well, let me tell you, those are the worst deals to do. Okay, and let me explain why. Hold on, let me explain why. The first deal I did was a 40-unit apartment complex. I raised 30% down from friends and family, and we bought that property. And my wife and I now owned 25% of the company that owned the 40-unit property. And that property was purchased the right way. I didn't put a dime into it. So when I say no money down deals, there are two ways to think about that. Was that first one a no money down deal? For me it was. But as far as the business, was that a no money down deal? No. That was properly leveraged. All businesses require cash. All right, so that first one we purchased the right way. Then the bank calls me up and they said, hey, you know those 88 units across the street? How would you like to buy those? And I said, well, I don't have any more money, or nor do I have any more friends or family who have money, because I tapped them all for the first deal. And they said, well, how would you, how much money would you need to buy this? I said, I would need like $750,000 to buy that 88-unit complex, and I don't have it. And they said, well, listen, we like you. Why don't we strike a deal where we will lend you the $750,000? And I said, so like no money down, we can buy it like next week? And they said, yeah. I said, hold on a second, let me talk to my wife, because she's the banker. I said, honey, they're asking us if we want to buy that 88 units across the street for no money down. What should I say? She says, ask them how quickly we can close. So we went and bought the 88 units. We didn't even need any partners on that one. We didn't even need any friends or family. Within the first 6 months of me getting into the multifamily business, I now own 128 units. I was just looking for 20. But when you put yourself out there and you're making offers, things happen. Okay? So now I own 128 units. I own 40 and I own 88. Both of them purchased with no money down. Which one did I make more money on every month? The 40 or the 88? Did you say the 88? 40? Okay, why do you say the 88?
Oh, economies of scale.
Why do you say the 40? Because I got lower debt, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't make a dime on the 88. I broke even every single month because I had to pay off that $750,000 note. I over-leveraged that property. That's why when I say no money down deals are not what they're cracked up to be. So what, I owned 88 units. I wasn't making any money on it. This is a business. We have to make money. All right, so keep that in mind when you're looking at deals. Don't get all enamored with, oh, look at me, great big giant businessman. All right, that's a joke in our family. Okay, master lease options. I purchased properties with master lease options. That's where the property is so bad that it can't get conventionally financed. So what you do is you go to the seller and you say, hey, listen, your property, we can't do anything with it. Why don't you let us take it over? We will clean it all up, and then we'll bring up the occupancy so that we can go to a bank, and then we'll buy it from you once we can get it conventionally financed. That's a master lease option. Now, that's one thing a lot of these gurus teach, but they don't tell you the things you got to look out for. With any master lease option, you got to deal with time and money. How much time are you going to have that lease option for? You want the longest possible. And how much money and where is it coming from to fix up the property to get it conventionally financed? See, the reason why it's not passing muster now is because the units are disasters. They need to be cleaned up. We have to rehab the property. Well, who's going to pay for that? Get the other guy to pay for it. These are the things you got to think about when you're negotiating these master lease options. Oh, I've assumed existing mortgages. Folks, assuming existing mortgages is not what it's cracked up to be. I've actually written letters of intent and mortgages, not mortgages, but purchase and sale contracts in my program that you can all download when you're going to make an offer on assuming someone's mortgage. Okay? Because when you assume someone's mortgage, it doesn't, we're going to make you sit up front now because you're late. Yeah. Oh, right, the traffic. Yeah, right, sure, the traffic. When you assume existing mortgages, you're taking on, you're doing a huge favor for the seller. The reason why you're assuming it is because he doesn't want to have to pay the prepayment penalties. So you're telling him, I'll step into your shoes and I'll take on that obligation. That guy should be kissing your butt. But instead they act like they're doing you a favor. And here's one of the things about an assumption. So what happens when you have a mortgage, a commercial mortgage, is the bank requires you to set aside a certain amount of money per unit every month just for capital expenditures. It's called a reserve replacement, okay? That money gets saved at the bank, and they allow you to use it just for a list of items for capital expenditures. Well, geez, I'm short on payroll this month. Can I tap into that account? No. Well, geez, I need to paint a couple of interior units. Can I use it? No. You can only use it on the collateral for the bank. The bank wants you to reinvest your own money into their collateral to keep it going. Now, some of these owners, they don't touch that money. So if you're looking to assume an existing mortgage, the first question you should ask is, how much money does that guy have on replacement reserve? Because what happens is, the day you close, the bank, guy's got $200,000 on replacement reserve. The bank says to you, Lori, you just sold it. Lori, thank you so much for doing business with us. Here's your $200,000 check. And then they turn to Allie, who's assuming this guy's mortgage, and say, okay, Allie, welcome aboard. It's good to have you as a customer. $200,000. Pony up. They don't tell you this in these classes. These are the things you got to look out for. The assumption is fraught with problems. You got to know what you're doing. And that's what I do, is I make sure my clients don't get screwed. That's essentially what your lawyer should be doing for you, making sure you don't get screwed. That's what I do. I've owned property that I forgot I've even owned. That's like A-class property. And I've owned property that I wish I had never laid my eyes on. You guys know what that's like? How many people have ever had one of those? Oh yeah, oh yeah. You're not in this business until you've had one of those. So, but regardless, guys, multifamily is the best business I've ever had the pleasure of being in, and let me tell you, let me show you why. Here's why you should get started in multifamily. We have this huge problem in this country, and Dan was talking about it earlier. According to one of the recent surveys, let me just preface this by saying that I also own my father's insurance agency. He passed away a few years back, and he had a Medicare insurance agency. He had one of the largest Medicare insurance agencies in the state of New Hampshire. That thing is a cash cow. It just keeps printing money for myself, my brother, my sister every month. And we just keep the doors open and service clients because it just keeps coming in. It's beautiful. It's like cash flowing property. And so the customers that come in are all 65 years old. And so I get to see these statistics in action. According to one recent survey, 36% of Americans say they don't contribute anything at all to their retirement savings. But that's okay because we have Social Security, right? Now, 35% of Americans already over the age of 65 rely almost entirely on Social Security payments alone. I know that to be true because I see these people come into the office, and you know who they are. You know which one's planned properly and which one's got caught behind the eight ball. In 1950, and this is why it worked well back then, in 1950, each retiree's Social Security benefit was paid for by 16 U.S. workers. That works. Those numbers work actuarially. In 2010, each retiree's Social Security benefit was then paid for by 3.3 workers. Huge reduction. What do you think is going to happen in 2025? One retiree for every 2 workers. There's going to be a rebellion. I mean, those 2 workers are going to finally wise up and say, why am I paying all this money to this guy? You want to know what this is going to look like? You want to know who's going to be covering your retirement there, Joel? You want to see what they look like? Those are the guys who are going to be covering you. Yeah, no, that's it. You're looking at them. Those are the guys. You feel confident?
No.
Okay.
Then I'm starting to collect next month.
Next month, you're going to start collecting next month?
I am.
Good for you. Good for you. Got your Medicare yet?
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah, all right. You guys, what do you have? You have Plan F here in California?
I do.
Huh? You don't know?
I don't know.
Okay.
You gotta find out.
He's going to find out, yeah. He's
I
got.
work for an insurance agency, so I feel what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You hate Sunday nights too, don't you?
They're brutal.
Yeah. All right, now keep your hands down, but answer this question silently. How many people in this room, at the current pace you're going, will be one of those Americans that rely entirely on Social Security? Ugh. You know, I listen. No judgment. These people are in my programs all the time. We have a huge problem in this country, and how are you going to deal with it? Let me show you how I'm dealing with it. How many people in this room have had more than 100 people contribute to their retirement plan last month? Attaboy. I knew there was something about you. Look at him, now he's wondering, what about me? How many of you have had your retirement plan pay you a management fee? Pretty cool. What do you have? How'd you do it? 401k? You have a solo 401k?
Employer sponsor.
Oh, your employer sponsor. Well, no. You paid someone to manage that 401k.
Not in that way.
You do? Oh, I'm sorry?
Not in that way.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
So management fees in terms of,
Of who's managing the money.
no, not,
So you can't raise your hand for that one. Correct, okay. How many of you had a retirement plan that you can leave to your children and your grandchildren? Folks, you have it all? Okay, I was gonna say, my bag's back there, but I get a check every month from New York Life. My sister gets one, my brother gets one, I get one. We get the same amount every single month. Changes a little bit every month. Last month, my check was $47. Still in my bag. I found it the other day. It's almost like, what do I do with this $47? It's a pain in the neck to go to the bank. My father worked for New York Life for 57 years. All right? John Dobens died, and his kids are now millionaires. They're in the multifamily business. They're running their own properties, all because of what John Dobens did by starting off with a duplex. That's all it takes. All right, now the advantages of multifamily investing. Let me run through these quickly. Obviously, everyone needs a place to live. And you're seeing these kids, younger kids starting out, they're not buying homes anymore. They want the freedom to be able to move where they want to go. It's a great opportunity to add value. The power of the cap rate. Mark that. That's what we're going to spend about 15 minutes. I'm going to dig down deep on the power of the cap rate. That's how people become millionaires in this business. It's the only business that has that ability. It's a great inflation hedge. It's a hard asset. Investors are comfortable. Now, this is a double-edged sword here, this one. Investors are comfortable with apartments, and the pool of buyers is more robust than any other property type. Now, think about this for a second. That's very good if you own multifamily property now. But if you're looking to get into this business, you got tough competition. I mean, Dan mentioned it before about like all these people, a lot of wholesalers, so many new wholesalers out there, a lot of people looking to get in the multifamily business. It's the people that work their tails off, that work hard, that find those deals. They're the ones that are going to get into this business. It's got a very attractive financing terms. How many people know the difference, know what a recourse and non-recourse loans mean? Joel does? You do? Okay. Non-recourse means if you do everything right and you still lose the property, they shake hands and you just shake hands and part friends with the bank. Recourse is if you lose the property, the bank comes after you for the shortage. In a multifamily arena, you can get non-recourse loans. Very nice. You can sleep very well at night. Guys, you don't want to do personal recourse. I just settled one from back during the crash. I was not happy, but I had to write a 6-figure check to pay that off. I don't let my students sign personally. A lot of the reasons, the advice I give my students is not because I learned it in law school. It's because I learned it in the College of Hard Knocks. I mean, I learned this stuff the hard way. These are from my own mistakes. You know, there's no special talent needed to own multifamily property. You just have to do the work. That's it. That's all there is to it. Now, let's talk about the 5 ways to own to make money in multifamily. And I want you to compare this to a Subway franchise. And the reason why I say this is because everybody understands the concept of a Subway franchise. I sell a sub for $1. It took me 95 cents to make it. I keep a nickel. What other ways do you make money in a Subway franchise? Well, that's really it. But there are 5 ways to make money in multifamily. It's amazing. And I actually used this concept. I was teaching at Babson College. And at the end, this couple came up. And they said, Charlie, we really like the way you compared this to a Subway franchise. That really made a lot of sense. Oh, good. I appreciate it. I'm glad you like it. He says, yeah, because we own a Subway franchise. And you're absolutely right. That's exactly how it works. I said, yeah, and that's why we want to get into multifamily. I said, I hear you. I hear you. Okay, 5 ways. Here we go. Number 1, cash flow or profit. You pay off all your bills at the end of the month. You got money left over. There's your profit. Are you always going to make a profit in multifamily? Hell no. Some months are going to be bad. Some months people don't pay. Some months, if you purchased an all bills paid property, what does an all bills paid property mean?
All the utilities paid.
By whom?
The owner.
By me. No, not the tenants. That's a tenant paid property. All bills paid property means I pay all the utilities. Typically the C-class properties, the older properties, Those are all bills paid because they didn't have, they're so old, they were built back when they didn't even have those individual hot water furnaces, and they didn't have the little furnaces they could put in a closet. So you had what were called chiller boilers, among other ways of doing it. They had like a chiller boiler system that would heat the whole entire complex and then cool the whole entire complex. Or, if that didn't work, they would drill holes in the wall and put in-wall AC units that you would use for the heat and for the cooling. And those took electricity. I owned a 116-unit property down in Fort Worth, Texas. Half the complex was chiller boiler. The other half of the complex was in-wall AC units. And they had 116-degree temperatures for 7 days. And I was down there on the property. And I was listening to those ACs going 24/7 full blast. Did I make any money that month? Not. I made no profit. Okay? And then when the weather got better and I shut down the boiler, the chiller boiler, because we didn't need it until it was going to start to get cold again, or whichever way the weather was going. So I shut it down. Then the weather changed. I went to fire it back up. Water everywhere. Someone had stolen my copper piping. Yeah. So I went and I go to my property manager. I was using a property manager at the time. I said, "Hey, you stole my copper piping. I got to call the insurance company. I got to put in a claim. I got to get this thing replaced right away. Who should I call? Oh, hey, my brother. My brother can do this. He's a plumber. He can come down here and he can take care of this for you." I said, "Great, get him down here. How much is he going to charge me?" "Oh, about $16,000. I said, "Okay, fine. My claim's $35,000. I'll be able to pay him the $16,000. My on-site property maintenance guy, when the plumber got working, he comes up to me and says, "Why are you using that guy?" I said, "Well, because good price, and he's a brother of the management company." He goes, "He's the guy that stole the pipes." I think I heard Dan say something about Texas. Did you say something about Texas?
Maybe I have before.
Just while you were up here, like in kind of relatively glowing terms.
Know that it's stable. It doesn't have huge swings.
Okay, all right, well, fine. That's true, but I hate Texas. I hate Texas. Oh my gosh, you can't throw a brick in Texas without knocking down 2 Dave Lindahl students or every other guru. They're all down there in Texas. Texas is the worst